I had to tell you, we have an amazing panel today because what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about what it's like to make your way into the film industry. And I could not think of a better panel, and at least is running just a little bit late, to really help you guys better understand really what the pathway is to the film industry and how to get on it and all the things you can do. I think that what is amazing about this panel, from the people who are going to be sitting and talking through all the options that you have, is that you realize that there's a lot that goes into making a film. And everyone has to pick up their piece in order for it to be successful. Raise your hand if you're a filmmaker. Give them a hand. Give the filmmakers a big hand because you guys did an amazing thing. But the question I want to ask you is, if I said it was, well, by show of hands, was it easy? Was it hard? Was it medium? Was it, if you were a filmmaker, was it an easy task making the film or hard? Do you find it hard? Raise your hand if you think it was hard. There you go. All right, and you just answered the question. I probably could have asked the question a little bit better. I'll do it next time, I promise. But anyway, we're going to jump into this. I cannot tell you how excited I am. First and foremost, I'm going to let you guys introduce yourself.
And my background is in organizing. So before I was in this role, I worked for an international union for a period of time and worked heavily in corrections and hospitals and nursing homes all across the country, helping workers form their very first union. And since I've been here, I've been very focused on making sure that the workers that I represent have, good benefits and their workers' rights are protected. So I came here because they needed a good union rep more than anything else. Since I've been here, I've definitely fallen in love with the film industry. And I will say what is very unique for the future generations coming into the labor movement, and one thing that we've definitely done a very good job as a union, is you guys will be gig employees, meaning that you're going to go from job to job to job. And what's great about having a union is that the benefits, the retirement, those will follow you regardless if you're working or not. And so we've really cracked the code and making sure that if you're in between jobs, you're still going to have health care. And you're still going to have a retirement system so that when you get to a retirement age, you're going to be able to have benefits upon retirement. And that's a huge deal. Not very many people who work as gig employees can say that. The other thing is, you're going to have a wage and an income that's way above other people doing same jobs in different industries. And it has to be that way because you're going to have periods of feast and famine. So you might have periods where you work 6 or 7 months and then you end up not working for 3 or 4. And so when you're making that double time, when you're making 2.5 times triple time, when you're getting evening and weekend differentials, it's really, really important that you learn to take that extra income that you're earning and put it into savings so that when you're not working, you're able to still survive and go right back into the industry that you love.
I'm taking a bunch of now financial lessons from you that I should be saving while making films. That's a point number one.
Yes.
Same question to you, Eddie. What drew you to the film industry, and kind of what was that path that brought you here?
Well, I never wanted to be an actor. It's funny how I got into the game. I started out in music, and I wanted to be an engineer, so I went to engineering school in Florida because I wanted to be behind the boards. I wanted to work with musicians. I wanted to, work in the, I wanted to do country music. I wanted to do hip hop, R&B. I wanted to do all that stuff. And after spending like 10 years in the music industry, a friend of mine, he worked in production and he worked on a lot of shows in LA. And one day he came up to me when I was kind of like fading out in the music industry. He came up to me and said, "Hey man, you should be an actor." And I said, "No, I don't want to do that." And you guys won't believe this, but I was really shy. I only wanted to stay in my little bubble. And he was just like, "Man, you should do it. You should do it. I work with a lot of actors and I think you can do it. You got the look, you can do it, man." And I was like, I took it like a week to kind of think about it, and I was like, man, I don't want to do it. I really enjoy movies, and I like I like going to the theater and watching these movies, but I'm just like, nah, I don't think I can really do it. And I didn't think I can do it either. So one day I just told him, you know what? For you, I'm going to try it, okay? If I fail at it, then, hey, so be it, you know? So I had a couple friends who were actors, and I asked them questions about how to get into the business. And they said, first, you need to get headshots. So I didn't know how to take a headshot.
Well, explain what a headshot is for those that aren't of your ilk, aren't actor types.
Okay. Does anybody in here want to be an actor or no? Anybody? Raise your hand. This guy right here.
It's already him in the back.
Headshot is something that goes to casting directors when they're casting projects and roles. They can kind of see what character you would fit. So you would submit these different headshots. There's like character shots. There's leading women shots, leading men shots. To really take a good headshot, you have to tell a story behind the headshot. You can't, it's just not a silly picture of you smiling or anything like that. It's actually a story you tell with your eyes and these shots, and when you look at the picture, you can see what this person is going through. So I didn't understand the marketing behind that. So I took these shots, they look like high school, like when you were taking shots for the yearbook type shots. I didn't know what I was doing. And so I had to learn how to take a headshot. Also, I had to learn how to act. And so I had to go research what kind of classes I need. You're going to need improv. You're going to need script analysis. There's so many classes. How to audition, that's another thing, you know? So I had to learn all this stuff, and it's a lot of money. I had to invest a lot of money. But, you know, once I got into it, I started to really enjoy it, and I was like, you know what? This is what I'm meant to do. So, you know.
What was the first project you worked on?
So when I first started out, I did a lot of student films.
Ladies and gentlemen, your next actor, Eddie Flake. That's right. Get your cards ready.
Yeah, I did a lot of student films. Los Angeles Film School, I was always up in their office. They had like a little board up there where all the films they were shooting. And I was always submitting my resume to them to shoot. So I kind of built up a resume of doing student films, just like what you guys are doing here. I was in all of them. It took me, honestly, I started in 2011, and it almost took me like 5 to 6 years before I booked my first television spot. And I almost gave up during that time because it was really hard. So around 2017, I ended up booking a role on CW show Supernatural. Did anybody know that show, Supernatural? Yeah, right. So I was on an episode of that, and that's where it started.
I love it. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, give a huge hand to Lisa Lucas. Lisa made a dramatic appearance. I love this. It's in her rider to show up late and make us all like clap, which is awesome. We love having you here, Lisa. I'm going to give you 2 questions because we're kind of too deep into the questioning. So really introduce yourself. Hey, thank you, Bryan. There we go. Look how good Bryan's gotten at this.
There we go.
All right. So, and Lisa, welcome. We're thrilled to have you here. Maybe if you could introduce yourself and also talk about your path into film.
Okay. Hi, I'm Lisa Lucas. I'm a producer, writer, actor. I've been in the business for about 27 years. Thanks for waiting for me. It was a very windy drive down from Santa Fe. I had to pull over. Anyway, let's see. I'm currently the president of New Mexico Women in Film. Also,
hey, let's hear from the women filmmakers out there.
Yeah.
That's right.
Check us out on Instagram.
Yes.
So, yeah, New Mexico is a very near and dear place for me for independent filmmakers. I've done a lot of different things here. I started my career in New York. I worked in Los Angeles. I've worked on about 38 TV shows as a producer, writer. I started as an actor when I was like your age, And then I got very disenchanted with it in my early 20s because I just wasn't what people wanted, even after I'd gone to theater school and all of that stuff. And that's okay, because I found that I had a calling as a writer, and you can do it all. I came back to acting in my 40s. But the exciting thing is that you can try different things and see where you really resonate, you know what I mean? And there's something for you in this medium. And in New Mexico, we're so lucky right now because, you know, the strikes were really hard. They were necessary, absolutely, but they were hard on the business. But we're in a bubble here. There's a lot of work happening. And what's really exciting for me is the growth and you know, possibility for indie filmmakers like yourselves. How many of you are consider yourself filmmakers? You want to make your own films? Because yay, because that's really where
hey,
it's
Lisa,
at.
I think they're being shy. How many of you guys are filmmakers and want to be filmmakers?
I think there are more.
Please raise your hand. There you go. Okay, much,
Because
yes.
that's really where it's at right now. I mean, you can take your iPhone and make a movie, okay? If you have stories to tell, they're important, and we need your voices. We need to hear different angles, different takes on everything. And what do you have to say? What do you have to say about this world, about your life, about things you're dreaming about? Whatever the case may be, you can do it in this medium, and we have so much opportunity here. You know, the Media Academy is gearing up. We've got, you know, an amazing crew base in New Mexico, unlike anywhere else, maybe except Canada and North America. We have incredible amount of SAG-AFTRA actors. We're really starting to put, you know, our money where our mouth is with the above-the-line jobs and writers and producers and directors. So it's an exciting time, and I'm just so glad. I mean, I was so proud and honored to look at all the work that everybody turned in for the festival and everything else. But anyway, there's a lot. I mean, you can ask
Well,
me anything.
I'm going to stick with you because, you know, one of the things we did at the very beginning was I asked the filmmakers in a nebulous, circuitous way that probably wasn't effective until said it directly, which was making your film easy or hard. And when, you know, no one raised their hand when it was easy, right? Everyone raised it when it was hard, but they got it done, right? I'm curious, when you think about your path, and you've kind of detailed it a little bit, was it easier or hard? And then, more importantly, for the audience out here, how do they prepare themselves for entry into the film industry?
Well, it really depends what you want to do, you know, because there's different pathways for each part of the business, you know. I think, and I can't speak to all the actors, you know, as best probably as Eddie can, but you really have to train. I think you have to be the best that you can be. Now with the self-tapes, you know, you can get in front of a lot of people that you couldn't before. So, but you've got to really do the work. It's a craft. It's a craft for every part of it. If you want to do any part of the craft departments, like that are, you know, union jobs eventually, you know, if you're into art direction or production design, or you know, you're really good with your hands and you want to do carpentry, and there's painting, and there's greens person, and there's, you know, costuming, wardrobe, makeup, whatever the case may be. Just, you know, beyond the above the line director, writer, producer, you know, you need to, if you can, go to school for that. It really is great. A lot of our community colleges and universities have excellent programs, and I think that just, you know, you have to make the work, okay? Even while you're in school, even before you go to university or community college. But tell your stories, do them with your phone, okay? Make stuff with your friends. It's important to understand the visual medium, but at the same time, we have these great programs that are affordable and very cutting edge, really, in the country for what you get for your money, I think.
Cool. You know, and Bryan, if I could toss it over to you, because again, same question to you. When you're talking about, you know, Lisa was talking about above the line, which of course the director, the actor, producer, below the line's where a lot of the work gets done. When people are thinking about preparing themselves for the pathway into the industry. I mean, you said it's a gig economy, which, you know, everyone knows what a gig economy is. Like an Uber driver is a gig worker, right? These people are working on a set, and then they're not working when the set is finished or when the production's finished. I'm curious, what advice would you kind of give as far as like, how do these kids, young adults, prepare themselves when they start to think about entry into those other parts of the industry?
Relationships are incredibly important. So number one, when you're looking for a job, be prepared. Be ready to respond quickly. I know department heads who, you know, they might be looking for 8 people and they're going to hire the first 4 that responds. So if you see a job blast come out, like, respond quickly. Don't wait until your resume is perfect, or, you know, you get a reference lined up or something like that. Things move very, very fast in the film industry. And, you know, a resume of a film worker is very different than a resume of other industries. So it's often just bullet pointing a lot of jobs. And I know I'm an employer too. I hire people for our union. And I get the normal resumes, and then I see the film resumes, and a normal person would look at a film resume and be like, wow, that person has had 60 jobs in the last 4 years. Why would I want to hire them? But that is what you have to do in film. You've got to go out, and you have to be willing to hustle and to do what's needed to be done. A lot of my members, they work multiple crafts. So on one set, you might work a carpentry job, and then the next set you might do special effects or set deck. So, being willing to be flexible and maybe not, get stuck in one specific craft, I think is really, really important when you're doing this type of work. And you do want to experiment. Lisa was saying, try different things and see what you like. We have a lot of actors that are also IATSE members, and we have a lot of writers that are also IATSE members, because you may not be able to get those steady jobs as a writer or a director or even a producer. Those are sort of long pathways, and while you're working on getting work in those areas, you can go and still do something that you love and that you feel passionate about, that is incredibly creative. The other thing is, be prepared to be dirty and to get dirty, right? Especially in this state. Here's a really, really windy day. I guarantee I'm going to get phone calls by my members about, dust blowing into their food, and, how the producer isn't giving them a proper break to get out of the wind, and, why is it so cold right now? So, just be mindful of that. A good pair of work boots and coming with a jacket and being ready to be out in the elements for many, many hours at a time. That is what the work is about. And sometimes I think, and believe me, I love the colleges and I love the work that they're doing there, but so many times I hear from young college students when they get on their first film set, wow, I didn't realize this work would be this tough. 10, 12, 14-hour days, often in the elements, on locations. So, make sure that you do pace yourself out and you do take some time off when you do get that break. Because the way that the pay is structured, it's structured for you to have some downtime here and there. And that's one thing I'm jealous of. I've never taken an entire month off in my entire career. And I talk to my members, and they always get to take 1 or 2 months off, sometimes a couple times a year. And that's an exciting lifestyle to be able, especially if you're a creative person and you have some other work that you want to do. A lot of our members are musicians and they're artists and they work in different fields. And they're able to walk away from film and do those other things they love and come back and also do something else they love and make money. So it's not for everybody, but it's definitely, if you're somebody who is passionate about doing something creative and something fun and exciting, there's a bit of an adrenaline rush with going out and working on a film set, and it can become very addictive. But I think have a very good work ethic, and when you show up on that work site, be ready to anticipate what needs to be done next. Show your willingness to work, and you're going to get called back again and again and again. the inverse of that, if you show up on that work site and you've got your cell phone, in front of you all the time, and your hands are in your pockets, and people have to come and tell you what to do, you're probably not going to get called back. And that's unfortunate, but that's the way the industry works. It's a very fast-paced, fast-moving industry, and if you're ready to come in and work and hustle, you're going to make really good money, and you're going to have a lot of job opportunities.
Lisa, I see you leaning
Yeah, I
in.
wanted to just add to what Bryan's saying. When you work on a film set, I was just on one 2 days ago, and there's almost like it's a village, okay? It takes so many moving parts and so many people to make this one thing that you're all working on. There's a family feel to it. It's very, very special. And the most important thing I would say as a producer of the qualities that I look for in the people that I hire is consistency, and that I can count on you, because I need every single moving part of that machine to make these things. And if you don't show up on time, or you can't flake on these things, you got to be so constant. And those are the people, and the people that act like that, I will tell you right now, they are the ones that get hired over and over, and you will have a career. That's like the number one thing. You have to show up, and you have to be on time, which is 15 minutes early, and do the best work that you can, and you're going to have a great experience.
So Eddie, I'm going to bounce it over to you because, if you could back that up, because again, you're on a different side of the industry too.
Yeah.
How, when you kind of described your experience as being sort of hard, right? All the things you had to learn to be a part of it. Talk about sort of what you felt like you needed and how you broke in and what that meant once you felt like your career was kind of on its way.
Well, it was hard work. I mean, I feel like, I admire what these people do. Like you guys, the production, man, they're everything. I'm just like a really small part of everything. I've tried to do production before, and I'm just, you know what? I'm just going to learn these lines and stick to this. It's hard. It's really hard work, and I feel like, just the acting part of it, it has its own thing going on too. So it took me a while to figure out how to act. It took me a few years to learn how to do it. It's tough too. It's not just you just get a script and you're reading lines and you can just say it on TV. There's so much depth to that, and it took me a couple of years to understand that. I would get a script and I wouldn't even do anything. I would look at it, get on, thought I can just say the lines and everything, but it's way more than that. And once I understood that, then my career started moving. Well,
and it's interesting because Lisa brought up a very important word in the film industry, which is consistency. Like at the Prize Foundation, Film Prize Union, we talk a lot about consistency and constancy, right? The ability to sort of stay on the road and stay true to yourself, but also stay steady and keep moving. You have a pretty spectacular resume that you built. Is part of that being consistent in the work and keeping your head down and focused on what's ahead?
Yeah, it's being consistent, it's being grounded. Just the people, I have like a great, like the people around me, man, they support me because it's hard out there. You feel like, you're the only one going through it, but so many other people are going through it as well. I feel like, there's been plenty of times I wanted to quit because you guys know how hard this business is, and sometimes you feel like you're not good enough, and it makes you feel like that sometimes, but I mean, I'm going through so many emotions in my head right now.
I'm telling you. Hey, Eddie, bring it in. Bring it in. Here we go. That's right.
Man, it's a tough industry. I'm not going to sugarcoat that, but it is possible. And you just have to be, like for me, I just say you just be a well-rounded person and find out what you really, really, truly want to do. If you want to direct, go direct. If you want to act, be an actor. But if you're going to do it, be serious about it, because if you just 1 foot in, 1 foot out, you're going to have a hard time, You just really have to put your mind to it and do it. And, that's all I can really, you guys can attest to that,
Yeah, 100%.
So, Lisa, I want to move over to the filmmaking side because, again, I think that a lot of people start off thinking above the line stuff. There's storytellers out there, for those of us who've gone through the film school process. You don't go through the film school process necessarily to work in the crafts. And by the way, just for the record, Bryan is using those wonderful union things like set deck, but what he means is...
Set decorating. Actually.
Yes, that's right. That's office talk with Bryan. It's just set deck is set decoration, of course. I'm curious for those who want to tell their story, right? And you said something super interesting. When you think about Film Prize Junior New Mexico, you think about Film Prize Junior Louisiana, you think about the big film prize. I mean, we're starting to see more and more of this, right? So the equipment, the cameras that you use are democratized. In other words, everyone has one in their pocket, right? Everyone has one that they're able to use. I'm curious what your advice would be to the young Lisa who's getting out there to tell her story or wants to tell the stories that are out there.
Well, let me just say this. It all starts with the story, okay? We can't make any of this unless we have a great story. I'm a writer also. I'm WGA. And again, very tough year last year.
I was about to say, writing and acting. You picked two winners.
But, you know, we fought for those things because we deserve it, you know, and I'm really proud of our unions. Just as a sidebar, I'll answer your question, but, you know, you're not alone. There are groups and there are things to aspire to. When you're at a professional level, you join the union. It's a wonderful, beautiful thing, and they've got your back. You know, there's groups like Women in Film, New Mexico Film Foundation, you know, tons of groups in New Mexico. Just look on all the social media, and we're here, and we want to help get you to the place where you want to go. So you're not alone, you know, in your journey. You know, if you decide not to go to school, because some people just go straight to work, and that's okay too. You can apprentice, learn a craft, totally move your way up. It's whatever, you know, is right for you. But as far as storytelling, I just feel like, and I say this as a person who is not represented a lot in what, you know, is made. You know, it's kind of been one way for a really long time. Our medium's only 120 years old. And so it's really important to have your voices right now of the times right now. We have the technology. I mean, everybody's multi-hyphenate. I know editors right now that are learning, you know, AI animation so they can have an extra skill set, and they're learning
Lisa,
it at home.
Lisa, again, multi-hyphenate, explain that, give them 10 seconds on that.
Multi-hyphenate. So, like, it's really great to think that you could be a writer, director, producer, and make your own stuff. Hire your own people. Control the story and how you want the whole set to be. And, you know, it's literally, the term's called auteur. Okay, we all know who Wes Anderson is, right? His movies are really quirky. He only makes his own films. And they're a certain style and they're carved in a certain way. You could do that for yourself. What are you? What's your story you want to tell? What's your style? What's your aesthetic? You know, all of that's in your control, and you can actually do it with, you know, a small little cell phone and do it quite well. You know, it really depends what you want to do. The sky's the limit. You could go total indie. You can work for other people. You can do both. You know, it's really how passionate you are really about what you want to say. What haven't you seen? What haven't you seen represented on the screen? If you want to put yourself up there and for the people like you, then you should do it. Now's the time, because the studios and the networks, the streamers, they're all really receptive to that, and I think want new angles and new visions and voices. So it's a good time for that.
Let me say something. That sounds good, Lisa, but you know they love the remakes.
They sure do. Unfortunately.
How about somebody just said, just let it be known that at Film Prize Junior 2024, somebody said something nice about the streamers. Just note that. Note that happened right here on this stage. So before because I want you to talk, you know, Lisa brought up a super interesting word, apprenticeship, right? Which I want to get to you in a second on, Bryan. Lisa, I went to film school, concentration on directing and writing, right? Nothing more lonely than being a writer, right? It's a very singular activity.
Some people like that, Greg.
Some people like it, but there's a collaborative nature, not only with the writing part, but also with the production part. you're never really alone if you're truly making a film. Could you talk a bit about that?
You know, you hire people for their skill set, but you also hire them for their temperament and their personality sometimes. It's like, because if you're stuck with these people, you have to work with them. You know, you want people with a good attitude. I think it's really important, too, that you're a team player and, you know, you're all in this together. So, you know, if you have an ego issue or, you know, you're kind of a pain in the butt, you know, nobody's going to want to hire you or work with you, right? But I love that aspect of it. When you're all in the zone and you're like a machine and you're so happy that you made the day, and you know everybody's loving the dailies and they're looking at the, you know, what you shot that day, and it's just a really exciting thing to know when you've done something together, like when you've been on a team for like sports or, you know, any other kind of feeling like that. It's really it's very similar.
Yeah, I mean, I think the overarching note is be nice. Be a nice person, you know, because it
goes a long way.
Yes. Bryan, Lisa talked about apprenticeships, and again, maybe talking through that process that someone goes through or needs to go through in order to be a part of the union, because they don't wave Harry Potter wands. It's a road.
And I think it's an area where the industry could do a better job of, but there is a lot of new opportunities that are in the works. So our union, we've negotiated a big pot of money. We call it our training and trust fund. And so we offer about 150 classes a year to our members. So once you get into, because we represent over 100 job titles, so once you get into the union, you get these other opportunities to advance your career and to get additional training and to get into the higher and higher pay scales and into the higher skill levels. I think we can do a better job formalizing apprenticeships, but it happens regardless if it's formal or not. What ends up happening is you go to a work site and you find a group of people that you work really well with, and that department head or that supervisor or the producer, they will go, wow, that person was such a great person to work with. I want to bring them onto my next job and my next job and my next job. And, you know, every job you work is really an interview for the next job.
So true.
Yeah, and you have to think about the work that way. Because if you go in with a good positive attitude and you're willing to hustle and to share and be a part of that community, they're going to want you on that crew again. And if you don't do that, then they're not going to want you on that crew again. And if you burn enough of those bridges, eventually you're going to be in a place where you're just having a hard time finding a job, and nobody wants to be there, right? And there is a lot of great opportunity here. It's a tremendous amount of opportunity. One thing we're also doing as a union is we've developed, we call it our 8th pathway, but it's a pathway where you can get days towards union membership, and the traditional route, and every jurisdiction's a little different, but here in New Mexico, you get 30 days on a film set under a covered craft, and then you can apply for your union card, and then once you get your union card, then you get first bidding rights onto jobs. While you're waiting to get those 30 days, you're working as an overflow registrant. So basically, once a job blast goes out to a union member, then it goes out to the overflow registrants. So you kind of get second bids on jobs. You want to be in that place where you're getting the first bids on jobs. So what we've actually done is we've offered some of those union days if you come in through a community partner. So Katharsis Media back there, they're a community partner. C&M over there, they're a community partner. I saw Julius, he might have walked away. He's with the National Indian Youth Council. They're a community partner. So you can actually work with these nonprofits and get experience doing either work directly on a film set or work that's very similar to what you'd be doing on a film set. And we can offer you union days that way. And that's one way that we've said, look, maybe we could do a better job partnering with film community partners, and you can get some experience working, maybe not directly on a film set, maybe directly on a film set or on something that might be below a union tier, and we'll recognize some union days and get you into the union that way. And it's been working really, really well. When I look at like the retention of some of our community partners, we're seeing 70, 80, 90% retention when somebody comes through one of those partners and works on a film set, compared to film school where it might be 30, 40%. So those are opportunities, and you can explore those opportunities on our website. And especially if you want to sort of tip your toe in a little bit before you make that big plunge, and you're working, 14-hour days on that distant location out on a dusty New Mexico backlot, or movie ranch. So definitely explore that a little bit. But your relationships is everything in this industry, more so than any other industry that I've seen. So just show up, work, hustle, have a lot of fun. It's a crazy fun industry. I go out on film sets and I love, there's like these really serious moments, but there's these really fun moments that people have too. And if you're a fun, creative person, you're going to find opportunities here you're not going to find anywhere else.
So Bryan, I'm gonna push you a little bit on this, because
Please.
when the way you've made it sound, being on a film set at the beginning of your union trek into the film industry sounds like a blast, right?
It's not always a blast,
right.
but sure.
I'm just
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say that let's be you don't start at the top of the game.
Absolutely not.
So
No.
so maybe walk somebody through exactly, because I don't want them to come back to me or to you and call us liars.
Yes,
Because
yes.
how do you give someone sort of like a bit more specifics as to where you start and how you move up through the chain, because it's hard work, but it's also you start in a place that's not at the top.
So the very first, in terms of the union trajectory, and every union's a little different. So SAG-AFTRA is going to be a little bit different than us, but with IATSE, you're going to start as an overflow registrant, and you're going to be waiting around for a job blast. You're going to be watching your email and waiting for somebody to say, I need this person. And it's probably not going to be the fun, sexy, exciting jobs right out of the gate, right? And I get these guys all the time, like they've been a foreman for 20 years, and they come in and they're like, I know everything about carpentry, and they only apply to foreman jobs. And they come to me after 6 months and like, Bryan, nobody has hired me. Why is this? And I'll say, because you might know everything about carpentry in a residential house, but you know nothing about carpentry on a film set. And carpentry on a film set is built very, very different than it would be in a residential. Everything is temporary. It's, it's wired together. It's rigged together. It's got sandbags on it, right? It would never pass a code in terms of a house, but it's exactly how we build it in a film set. And you have to have a very different mindset. And everything in film is that way. So, one thing to do, like I'll tell you now, costumers are in big demand. Anything construction related is in big demand. Hair and makeup, huge demand right now. We don't have enough people in those crafts right now. So you may not want to do those jobs. They may not be they're not writing and producing and acting, but they will get you on that film set and they will get you that experience, and it'll help you network, and you'll meet producers that way that might help you in your career down the road. So one thing might be willing to compromise. Be willing to come in and look at what is needed and fill that job. And when you're working a low budget versus a big budget, let's say a $1 million budget versus a $30 million budget, what happens on those lower tiers, it's more of that hyphenated job, right? So you might be working a couple different job titles because that's what they can afford, right? They can't afford to bring in one person that's going to specialize in that one area. And you may have to work those lower budget tiers before you can become the specialist. But I would say most people need to work at least 2 or 3 years before they can even think about getting into a higher level craft or be considered for being a department head. So just be prepared for that. And again, just to go back to what I said before, when you see that job blast, it's going to be minutes, not hours. Like in 10 minutes, they might figure their crew out. So reply to it quickly, have a resume ready to send out immediately, and be ready for them to say, I want you on that set at 6 o'clock for call tomorrow morning. Show up at 5:30 with your boots in your hand. Because if you show up on time, you're late. That's the film mentality.
Yeah. Lisa, do you want to add
Oh,
something?
I was just gonna add to what he's saying. I've never worked so hard as on when I make films, but the work is so fulfilling, even though it's brutal sometimes. But just kind of jumping on what you're saying, there's a lot of different ways to break through, and it might not be the glamorous one first. Like, for example, for producing, a normal route is being an assistant. That's how you learn. In New Mexico, there's always this call for producers' assistants. Now, there's some really major people that come to our state. It's a fantastic way to learn, but you're going to be like, Anne Hathaway in The Devil Wears Prada, okay? You're going to be like having your cell phone and at their beck and call for 24 hours, but look at the credit that you got for that, okay? This business is all about your credits. It's like what you did on the film, the quality of your work, how you were received, and your credit list, because that's what people look at also when they hire you. Oh, she did that on da-da-da, well, we're doing something really similar. Let's hire her. You know what I mean? And, oh, she was an assistant with that big, producer. I want them, and that's how it works. So you've got to just do your best when you're with these people so that you can be recommended. But, sometimes it's the assistant route, like with producing, and you can learn so much. My first TV jobs were I literally was Anne Hathaway in New York, working for a CEO of a burgeoning, in-demand technology, and I watched this woman I worked for, her career just skyrocketed, and she took me along with her. But what are the types of things I had to do? I had to go with her to the department store to help her buy dresses for the red carpet. I mean, things I never thought I would do that had nothing to do with film, but I did well for her, and she paid it forward for me on my next job. So, that's something you really have to think about. You have to, maybe do something else. There are pivots, like if you're an accountant right now and you're really good with numbers, okay, we need accountants too. And that's a definite pivot. It's just like carpentry, in IATSE. It's a different accounting for film, and you have to learn the different skill set, but you take to it really fast. You just have to learn how to do it.
So, and I'm going to ask Eddie the same question, but we're going to have about 5 minutes for questions, and then I have a wrap-up question for you guys. We'll do a quick lightning round at the end. But Eddie, same question to you about breaking into the industry. What do you need to have? Like, where you don't start being the lead in Dune, right?
Yeah.
It maybe is a tiny bit of a circuitous path, but
Well, there's a lot of Nepo babies out there. No, I was kidding. I would say, the good start to do is like doing background work, getting on those sets, learning, see how everything goes down. New Mexico, especially Albuquerque, there's so many TV shows here now. There's so many big-time films out here, and they're casting a lot of background actors. So I would definitely get on that and get on these sets and see how the actors are doing it, how the lighting, the cinematographer, all of those people. You'll see all of those people, and just get on the sets and start learning. If you can't get on the set as a background actor, then start shooting your own thing, your own stuff. Like make your own film. Get some of your friends and 4 or 5 of you guys get on your iPhone. Like you say, you get on your iPhone now, or just you can rent camera equipment now and just film your own stuff and do it that way. I just think that just got to be proactive, and there's so much resources out there for you now, and I think that's a good way to break in.
I love it. I love it. So we're going to go to the audience for questions. Do you guys have some questions out here? And yes, awesome. What's your name? Hang on for just 1 second. I'm going to do this.
You're getting the microphone.
I'm going to do this. Oh, awesome. Do we have an extra mic? Let's go do it Phil Donahue style. But the problem is that no one knows what that is anymore. So awesome. Name?
No one knows. We do.
Yes. All right. This is your first test. Did you see the power button on it?
Okay, test.
All right. We are, hang on, there we go. There we go.
Okay, test.
All right, we're going to bring that up a bit.
Test.
Awesome, go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, oh, there you go. Look,
Awkward.
and God said, let your voice be amplified throughout the convention center. Yes.
I'm Samantha Zamora, and I was wondering of like where you could find resources to like put yourself out there. I think my greatest fear is like I'd be excited to work on stuff, but I don't even know like where to give my things to.
It's a great question, and thank you for that question.
Yeah,
So
great question.
resources, how to get yourself out there. So it's resources and how to get yourself out there. Yeah, how do you get yourself out there, I think is what the,
Well, you guys, you have a little thing called the internet and social media. I mean, I've been having a lot of fun on TikTok on the last year, and you make videos. The editing power of TikTok, regardless of how you feel about it, is pretty insane. I mean, I make the funnest videos on there, and you can tell little stories. But in answer to your question about resources, I mean, there are a lot of grants in New Mexico. There are contests. There are, well, let me just say this. If you had a small budget that you crowdfunded for, say you tried to raise like $1,000 or something to make a little short film, we have a New Mexico state incentive that there is no minimum on. You can actually get 25% back on that. And if you're in a rural area, you can get 30% back on that from the state. So that's another topic, but in terms of money. But I think you just, you band together what you have. Everybody works together. You can obviously crowdfund. You write up a budget. The most important thing on a set is you got to feed people. If you're asking them to work for free when you're young, you got to feed them. But I feel like it's all out there. There's free stuff that you can teach yourself in a really rudimentary way. I know you know this. I have a 17-year-old son. He knows how to do all this stuff. Of just, rudimentary editing programs and, all the different social media platforms. Start a YouTube channel. I'm sure you guys all have these things, but start one specifically for your films. Name your production company. See yourself doing this. Make it real for yourself right now. You know what I mean? On a really small level, and then just grow it. See where you go. See if you get any traction with the things you're creating, the stories you're telling. Sometimes documentaries really cheap and easy, right? You can interview people.
I'm a documentary filmmaker, Lisa. That is completely untrue.
Well, I mean, when you're first starting, you know what I
Yes.
mean? Like,
Yeah,
if
no,
you
I'm
have
kidding.
interesting people, like, I have like 4 million hours of footage of my grandma before she died, and she was 100 years old. And I wanted to know her stories. Sometimes it's nice to start with your elders, and just find out about your family or something you never knew. That's really interesting stuff. And it documents it forever,
Yeah, real quickly, and so we can get a couple more questions in, and then I'm going to let Bryan just maybe give your resource too, but go ahead, Eddie.
You can also look up Albuquerque film resources. When you go online, you can look that up. Lisi Hardigan Casting, she does a lot of background casting, and it'll let you know where all the movies she's casting for. So you can submit for that as well and get yourself out there. All the union stuff, SAG, New Mexico, the SAG union here, we have a bunch of events you can go to and network there. I'm sure Bryan can.
Yeah, so Bryan, some quick resources.
So anybody who's interested in working a union job with IATSE, you can go onto our website. As long as you have 6 months of residency in the state of New Mexico, you can get registered on our overflow and get job blasts directly. So it's actually a much quicker and easier process than you might think. And we are so busy right now. Probably 95% of my crew is working a production as we speak. So we are in a place where we need workers like never before. It's going to be another record-breaking year. And what's really special and unique about New Mexico is that when many of the markets are shrinking, because of I guess it's the lag of the strikes and the negotiations that we're in right now. IATSE and Teamsters are now doing our negotiations. Our contracts are up at the end of July. So a lot of productions are holding off, but New Mexico, we are probably the busiest market in the country right now. So take full advantage of that. There's, the level of episodic series, I've never seen anything like this before. So both, if you want to be a background actor, if you want to come in and work directly in the crafts that we represent, you have opportunities right now and take full advantage of them.
Cool.
Yeah.
And we have time for about one more question. Yes. Do we have the mic that we could kind of pass back there? All right. Look at this. Teamwork makes a dream.
Thank you.
This is the collaboration that Lisa's talking about so admiringly.
Is background casting is background casting the same as being an extra, and you need to be a member of SAG to participate in that?
No, New Mexico is like a right-to-work state, so you can do it can be non-union. You can work non-union. You can work so many hours. Then, if I think it's called, I forgot the name of the word where you get enough credit, you can get your SAG.
SAG eligible.
Yeah, SAG eligible. But if you do like certain amount of hours of background, it's the same as extra work. Oh, Taft-Hartley. Taft-Hartley. Yeah, you can get Taft-Hartley.
Yeah.
I don't know if they still do that anymore.
Yeah, they do.
They do?
Yeah,
Okay.
they do.
It's been a while since I've done some background work. But you can get Taft-Hartley after a couple hours of doing background work, and then you can be SAG eligible, and you can apply for it. And then you can start working union jobs, doing background work. And a lot of people make a living off of it. And especially now, like Bryan said, there's so much filming right now in New Mexico. I mean, my inbox is filled with projects that are coming through, and they're looking for background actors. They're looking for principal actors. You can be a background actor and be moved up to a heavily occurring actor, and they'll give you a line or two sometimes.
It's good to see that one of our student filmmakers wants to become a background actor. I love that.
She's the.
I was talking about you. I thought, you could be a background actor. You can too.
My
Yes,
daughter
can-
is a future director.
Yes,
Can I say
love
one
it.
last thing?
What's that?
Can I say one last thing?
Sure.
Join a group. All of you young women out there, New Mexico Women in Film, come to our events, network, meet us. We need people all the time. There are filmmakers that need PAs, assistants, all the stuff so that you can really absorb, do background like they were saying, and see what you want to do, But you really need to, like you said earlier, network and connect yourself to people in the industry.
Thank you for that, Lisa. Maybe we can do one more question. Give me 1 second. So here's what we're going to get out of here on this. This is our lightning round. Will be that one piece of advice, career advice, creative advice, but only one piece of advice that you're going to give the audience that they're going to put in their pocket that's going to take them to the pathway of success. One piece of advice, creative or career-wise, but think about it. Last question. Here we go.
Hi. I'm Miguel Girona, and my question is, what would you recommend for someone from the southern part of the state where we might not have as many opportunities, like here in Albuquerque, Santa Fe, when we come from smaller towns with not as many opportunities, like I said?
That's a great question, and thank you for that. So, yeah, go ahead.
I think there's more. So one thing in the last long session, 60-day session that we had, the last time we opened up the tax bill, we added a rural credit, an additional 5%. When I talk to producers, and oftentimes when producers are trying to cost out their films, I'm one of the first people they talk to, I'm always telling them about that additional tax credit. And I think down in Las Cruces, we're about to hit a tipping point. There's two things that are happening. One, they're about to get their very first sound stage, and it's a retrofit soundstage, but it's going to create a base of operations that they don't have right now that's going to entice more films to come there. The second is there have been enough recent productions down there to where we're going to get the crew base. And my prediction is when we hit about 100 permanent crew in Las Cruces, then a producer is going to be able to look at that market and look at the available crew and say, you know what, I'm gonna make money by doing a film down there. They can't say that right now. What they can say is, yeah, this 5%, this helps, but I'm still not breaking even, because if I bring people from Albuquerque or Santa Fe, I've got to pay for hotel and per diem and have these extra expenses. So they'll say, you know, it's fine and maybe this project works, but once we are able to fully staff a production, you're going to see a lot more production activity down in Las Cruces. Now, other markets like Raton, Gallup, you know, in my 10-year vision, we're seeing a lot more productions coming out of the Pueblo populations, and we're seeing sound stages that are being built in those other markets, and we're more fully taking advantage of that. And so, you know, part of my job is to do political work. And so when I'm out there talking about the changes we need to make to our tax bill, it's going to be to enhance rural communities and get more productions out there. Because we want to avoid something that we've seen in other states, which is when you keep the industry in the urban markets and you don't spread it out into all parts of the state, it makes the tax incentives very, very easy to be attacked. And the best thing we can do as New Mexicans is make sure that that the industry is spread out across the state, so that when you do have a Republican legislator, I don't want to beat up on one party, but oftentimes it's the Republican legislators that want to attack these
Okay,
things.
all right, Brian, all
Okay,
right.
no,
We have the second, this is
I can
not
add
a
to- I can
place
add-
for politics.
I can add to this. I
No,
can add to
wait,
this.
wait, let's, I think we,
Oh.
real quickly. if
Okay,
you want, yes.
real quickly in Las Cruces, and almost every medium town in New Mexico has a film office. Look up the Las Cruces Film Office. Also, the university down in Las Cruces, I don't know if you know this, has a USC Film School satellite. Check out that stuff. Go to the film festival events. Call the film offices. Show up to them. See what they need, what you could do, what kind of film you could get on to be a part of something, because they have all of that locally, even in really small towns. The whole list of statewide film offices is on the New Mexico Film Office website.
I love it. Thank you, Lisa, for adding that. All right, so here we go. Lightning round. One piece of creative or career advice that's going to put these kids on the pathway to success. You know, Lisa, I'm going to give this one to you because you're still getting into that flow. Tiny but late. Super windy on the road. We get it.
Okay.
All right. So Eddie, set the pace, set the rhythm. One piece of
One
advice.
piece. I would say get training. I can't stress that enough. Get a lot of training. Train, and develop thick skin.
Yes.
Develop that thick skin, because you're going to get told no a lot, and a lot, and a lot. So that's my my advice.
I love it. Give Eddie Flake a big hand.
Yeah.
All right, Bryan Evans.
Oh boy.
One piece.
Yeah, I know. This
You
is
don't
this
don't
is,
mention
how do I
Democrat
do
or
one?
Republican.
I mean, there's so many things. I would say this to any worker, regardless of the industry: have a good attitude. You know, have fun, show up with a positive attitude, be ready to hustle. Like, that will help advance your career more than anything else.
Cool. Thank you. Give Brian a big hand. Bryan Evans. All right, Lisa Lucas, you ready to take us home?
Oh, geez, man. Okay, well, you know what? I would say never give up, because you're going to need fortitude and strength, and you're going to have to dig deep a lot of times. But if you stick with it, perseverance, I swear to God, I don't even know what the saying is, blah, 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 something. But if you persevere and you stick with it, you will get there. You will. I'm living proof of that. You're going to get knocked down, everything they just said. But if you really want to do this, you can. You have to be focused, dedicated, and committed. Keep going.
I love it. Give Lisa Lucas a big hand. I want to tell you guys, before we give them all a big hand together, and again, deep appreciation for all the words that you guys gave us and the wisdom, is up next is our alumni. Where are they now? If you're wondering what the path from Film Prize Junior is and where it will take you, the next panel is going to show you. It's going to show you exactly some of the things that you guys were talking about out there, the questions you were asking, that's going to enable you to see and embrace what your future could be. That said, give these three folks a huge hand. They did such an amazing job. Thank you, Eddie, Bryan, and Lisa. You guys knocked it out of the park. Up next is the alumni panel. Let's say that we're going to get it started about 1:10, so about 5 minutes. So if you want to just settle in, you can. You want to go get, I don't know what you can get here, but yes, go to the VIP room, get a piece of pizza, sit down, and let's have some fun.
Really great to meet you.